right. Oh, hello, everybody. It's March 31st. It is the last day officially of the longest month in the history of mankind. Literally, this month, I had 10 people over to my house for a meditation workshop where I had wipes and everything and told people not to come if they were sick, but literally within the same month, there were people in my house. That was March 7th and 8th. So it's been over 3 weeks, but it's pretty crazy to realize. And now we're just dealing with the fallout of coronavirus. So Rachel, welcome.
Thank you.
Let's start tapping. So tell me what emotion are you feeling? Rachel is a nurse. She works in the postpartum, right? Or
yes.
And a mother of 5. So she's got a lot going on. Tell us what emotion you are working on today or feeling today.
So Saturday, 4 days ago was my first day back to work, because I only work part-time. So I had been 4 days since I had been there. And when I woke up Saturday morning to go to work, it was instant. As soon as my eyes opened, I just had this pit in my stomach, I guess, a feeling of panic.
Mm-hmm.
Out of nowhere. I hadn't had any thoughts about anything. It was just as soon as I woke up, I had that panicked feeling. And I got up, I made some coffee, I did some yoga, I meditated, I even prayed. And I'm not much of I'm going to sit down and pray, but I prayed. And I thought, I'm okay. I'm going to be okay. And as soon as I got to work, my normal entrance that I go into was closed. Mm-hmm. And they had changed all the employees to go to another entrance where they had 2 hospital policemen standing there, take people's temperatures, which that's great. I think that's a great practice. But it, that panic feeling just completely came back, overwhelming, and sort of felt shaky and scared for most of the day at work that day. And then the next day, Sunday, I got up and went back to work, and the same feeling. As soon as I woke up, I had that afraid feeling. And then even yesterday and today, I haven't been to work, but I still woke up afraid. And I see it manifesting in being very judgmental of people, and I don't know, it's just I don't like feeling afraid, and you can't trust other people. And
what kind of judgmental are you being? How is that manifesting?
Well, so Saturday every time I go to work, I feel we have different new rules, and my normal brain says this is uncharted territory, and everybody's kind of making it up as they go along and doing the best thing. But everything that comes out, I'm this is ridiculous, this is crap, why didn't they do this 2 weeks ago? And even from a government standpoint, you see things that they're doing, and I immediately want to call BS to it. And at the grocery store, I just went to the grocery store and I found myself so stupid, but even not wanting to look people in the eye, because I was kind of afraid of everyone that was in the grocery store with me. And there's this general feeling of trust no one is sort of coming out. And I don't like being that way. I like being everything's going to be okay and love everybody, kind of person. So I feel like I'm not myself.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm so sorry you're feeling that way. It's a lot of emotions to be processing, and all totally normal, and understandable. What do you think is the strongest? Is it the panic and fear? Do you want to start working on that first?
Yeah, for sure. That fear.
Okay.
Of what's next.
And is that more a health, fear for health contagion kind of stuff, the actual virus itself, or what is the fear of?
I think I am starting to feel very afraid for my own health. This was when I left, like when I left work Saturday and Sunday. That was the first time that I thought, like, I should probably take my shoes off outside and, you know, let me take a shower before my kids hug me. Or like I've seen other healthcare workers who have like sent their children off to live with other people. And so, yes, this is the first time in like 2 weeks that I've sort of felt afraid for my own health.
Okay. How strong is the fear?
I probably like a 7 or an 8.
Okay. Is it the pit in your stomach? Is that where you feel it, or do you feel it elsewhere?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, like in my sternum, I guess. Not really in my stomach, but kind of like a burning hot feeling in my upper abdomen.
Okay. All right. Okay, so let's tap in. Hi, Christina. Thanks for joining us. All right. Even though I am overwhelmed with fear about what's coming next,
Even though I'm overwhelmed with fear about what's coming next,
I love and accept myself.
I love and accept myself.
And by the way, for anyone watching, I say this every day: wash your hands before and after you tap. And also, you can tap along with us. Just keep yourself on mute, or if you're watching it after the fact, tap along with us. And you can still get the benefits even if you're not tapping directly with me live. Just repeat back what does resonate with you. So what Rachel is thinking isn't necessarily going to be exactly what you're thinking. So you'll just say, like, if I say my fear is in my chest and burning hot, and yours is in your stomach, then just be like, my fear is in my stomach, and make it your own that way. Okay. Even though I am overwhelmed with fear of what's coming next,
Even though I'm overwhelmed with fear of what's coming next,
I accept and forgive myself exactly as I am in this moment.
I accept and forgive myself exactly as I am in this moment.
Even though I am really overwhelmingly scared about what's coming next,
Even though I'm really overwhelmingly scared of what's coming next.
for me and for my family,
For me and for my family,
I accept and forgive myself completely.
I accept and forgive myself completely.
Top of the head, I am really scared.
I am really scared.
I've been waking up every morning with a feeling of dread in my stomach.
I've been waking up every morning with a feeling of dread in my stomach.
There's just this pit of fear.
There's just this pit of fear.
And all my usual self-care routines cannot stop it.
And all my usual self-care routines cannot stop it.
Everything feels different now.
Everything feels different now.
I can't even look people in the eyes at the grocery store.
I can't even look people in the eye at the grocery store.
Fear has invaded every part of my life.
Fear has invaded every part of my life.
And it's not who I am.
And it's not who I am.
And that scares me too.
And that scares me too.
I'm afraid of what's coming next for my health.
I'm afraid of what's coming next for my health.
And I'm starting to get a lot more cautious about my routine when I come home for work.
And I'm starting to get a lot more cautious about my routine when I come home from work.
All this fear.
All this fear.
All this panic that I wake up with every day.
All this panic that I wake up with every day.
It's overwhelming.
It's overwhelming.
And I just can't seem to shake it.
And I just can't seem to shake it.
It's affecting the way I interact with other people.
It's affecting the way that I interact with other people.
It's making me judgmental and angry where I'm not normally judgmental and angry.
It's making me judgmental and angry where I'm not normally judgmental and angry.
And behind it all is just sheer panic.
And behind it all is just sheer panic.
I'm afraid of what this fear is doing to me.
I'm afraid of what this fear is doing to me.
And I'm afraid of what comes next.
And I'm afraid of what comes next.
I have so much fear for myself and my family.
I have so much fear for myself and my family.
I'm really starting to get afraid of getting sick.
I'm really starting to get afraid of getting sick.
And this fear is really affecting my ability to trust anybody.
And this fear is really affecting my ability to trust anybody.
All this fear and panic.
All this fear and panic.
All right, let's pause. Take a deep breath. So what came up for you while we were tapping, Rach?
Just images of being at work, like when you said about connecting with people, just these images of like all of us at work with our masks on, and how just that little thing is really like creating a barrier to being connected to other people. And I just kind of hope that it gets better.
Yeah.
That it's not like I had this thought this morning that what if when all of this is over, that we kind of all, like me especially, forget how to be trusting of other people.
Yeah, I hear you. I even now watching TV, like Netflix or whatever, watching pre-recorded shows where like actors are just like interacting with each other and hugging, and I'm like, that's bad. I feel like it's already shifting the lens through which I see the world. It's really, really powerful. How strong is the fear and panic right now, Rachel?
That I definitely don't feel like my insides are on fire right now.
Okay, that's
good. I still feel just kind of shaky, but may out like probably like a 4.
Okay. Did any other emotions come up for you while we were tapping that feels stronger than the fear?
Maybe sadness, like a little bit of when I'm at work and I have to wear a mask around my patients, and they're I just feel like there's just like a general like sadness of like, this is not the experience that I would want people to have coming into the hospital, where we're all afraid of each other, and sort of like a sadness for them and for me, and like just kind of a loss of what we had before.
Okay. Have you read any of those articles about grief? I don't know. I shared one on Facebook, but that's real. Like
I have a couple of those saved that I want to read later. Yeah, it does.
Oh my God.
It is a huge grief.
Okay.
What happened?
See that?
Hello?
Did you just see that?
What happened?
Someone just joined and was like smoking a bolt like a bong.
I did not see
that. Okay. That's shocking. All right. Well, I guess I'm like really a big deal now that I'm getting like people joining and taking bong hits on my coronavirus stress thing. That was really just whatever, disconcerting.
Oh man, I can't wait to watch the replay and catch that, because
I know. Let's see, and Christina, there's a little message from you. So increasing OCD. Have you noticed any of that, Rachel? Any like increasing like obsessive?
Washing my hands all the time, and yeah, I not necessarily maybe actions, but I have had like recurring thoughts come up, like, oh my God, don't touch your face, don't touch your face. Are you touching your face? Don't touch your face.
Yeah.
And I have sort of felt like systematic, do I need to put in some systematic things like take my shoes off in the car and other like clean things, like, yeah, definitely recurring thoughts for sure though.
Yeah. Christina, what I would say is tap on, I feel this compulsion to, even though I feel this compulsion to fill in the blank, I love and accept myself, even though I feel this need to whatever, I love and accept myself, and then just, I have this compulsion, I have this compulsion, I have this compulsion. So for right now though, let's go back to Rachel. So the sadness that you're feeling, how strong is that? Like that this is our experience, our loss?
Like a 6 probably.
Okay. Let's move to that a little bit. It feels like that's a little bit stronger than the panic, and we'll revisit the panic once we tap through the sadness. Where do you feel the sadness in your body?
Think like upper chest.
Okay.
In my heart space, my heart chakra.
Oh, my chakra. Rachel's also a yoga teacher. Okay. Even though I feel this sense of sadness at society's new normal.
Even though I feel this sense of sadness at society's new normal.
I love and accept myself.
I love and accept myself.
Even though I feel this deep sadness and loss about how our society has been changed by coronavirus.
Even though I feel this sense of deep sadness and loss by how our society has been changed by coronavirus.
I accept and forgive myself exactly as I am in this moment.
I accept and forgive myself exactly as I am in this moment.
Even though I feel this real sadness about our current human experience.
Even though I feel this real sadness about our current human experience.
I love and accept myself completely.
I love and accept myself completely.
Top of the head, I'm sad.
I'm sad.
All this sadness.
All this sadness.
All the masks and barriers are really keeping us from being able to connect.
All the masks and barriers are really keeping us from being able to connect.
And I don't even know what society is going to be like after coronavirus.
And I don't even know what society is going to be like after coronavirus.
Okay, go ahead and switch to the next tapping point.
Right.
It's okay. All this sadness.
All this sadness.
I feel it in my upper chest.
I feel it in my upper chest.
I'm sad because our human experience is changing every day.
I'm sad because our human experience is changing every day.
And I don't know what life is going to be like after coronavirus.
And I don't know what life is going to be like after coronavirus.
I'm sad that we're losing our ability to connect to each other.
I'm sad that we're losing our ability to connect with each other.
I'm sad that we have to have so many barriers between us and our patients.
I'm sad that we have to have so many barriers between us and our patients.
I'm sad that every person I see is a potential vector for this virus.
I'm sad that every person I see is a potential vector for this virus.
And that every surface that is not within my control is a potential vector for this virus.
And that every surface that is not in my control is a potential vector for this virus.
I can't even sit down at a park bench.
I can't even sit down at a park bench.
And so everything has just changed so completely.
Everything has changed so completely.
And there's this sense of loss that I'm feeling.
And there's a huge sense of loss that I'm feeling.
I loved life before coronavirus,
I loved life before coronavirus,
even though it was messy and hard sometimes.
even though it was messy and hard sometimes.
And I'm grieving for a future that I don't know, because I don't know what will happen.
And I'm grieving for our future because I don't know what will happen.
I'm grieving for a sense of normalcy.
I'm grieving for a sense of normalcy.
All this sadness and loss.
All this sadness and loss.
Life as we know it is completely different.
Life as we know it is completely different.
I miss being able to connect to my patients on a more physical level.
I miss being able to connect with my patients on a more physical level.
And I miss being fearless.
And I miss being fearless.
All this sadness.
All the sadness.
All right, let's pause. Take a deep breath. What came up for you? How are you feeling?
A lot of things that you said were just like spot on, like how this human experience has changed. And I'm really not like a germophobic person. I mean, I take precautions and I wash my hands and I wash my fruits and vegetables, but I've never like freaked out about pushing a button in the elevator or, like worried about who's touched the shopping cart before me. And I had this image of when I just went to the grocery store and I checked out, and one of the checkout girls had gloves on. Totally understand why she would want to do that. And the other girl had a mask on. And it is so sad that like everybody is sort of experiencing a loss of safety.
Mm-hmm.
And I would not think of myself as normally a fearless person, but when you said that, there's so many things that I felt safe just doing in my normal daily life that we don't have that luxury anymore to be completely fearless. And that like I see it in the hospital. Like I totally understand why you would have to be more cautious in the hospital, but it really makes me sad. In the grocery store, or I bought a pair of shoes for my daughter from a local shoe store, and we had to she passed it to me out the front of her door, and it's just sad.
Yeah. How strong is the sadness right now?
I feel like my own sadness is not as strong, maybe like a 5. But my collective sadness for everybody is still pretty high.
Maybe even higher?
I think when I see those images of all of these different people that, yes, and I think it's sort of laced with some guilt. Like, should I not be sad? Because it is a huge deal for other people. And if I don't feel sad for them, it's like it's not happening to them. As if that makes sense.
Yeah, like acknowledging it with your sadness is like feeling it with them, kind of.
Yeah.
That's understandable. There's this. How strong is that guilt?
Maybe like a 6 too. I've had a lot of moments in the past couple weeks where I've felt like I've really kind of enjoyed being at home and enjoyed the slower pace.
Mm-hmm.
And then I immediately have that, should you be enjoying yourself because other people are really struggling and suffering? And there is sort of an undercurrent, I think, of guilt in my time at home that feels very safe in our little bubble of like drawing on the sidewalk. And
Yeah.
um
What do you think is the strongest emotion right now, the collective sadness or the guilt?
maybe guilt, because maybe that maybe the guilt that I'm not sad enough,
Okay.
that I'm not experiencing enough hardships myself when other people are really like their life is completely upside down.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. How strong is the guilt?
It's like a 7. I feel it in my face, like my cheeks feel hot just
Okay.
talking about it.
Okay. There's a great analogy, and then we'll tap. Not like a story or parable or whatever. There's someone in, like, if there's somebody in a hole and like you're trying to get them out, you don't go down into the hole to get them out, because then you're just down in the hole with them. So it's okay to be not down in the hole with them, and the only way to help and to rise, to increase, to make things better for yourself and for people is, or not the only way to, but a surefire way to not make things better is by jumping in there with them. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Emotionally. So I don't know if I described that like the most elegant way, but anyway, but it's a very common thing. Like, oh, you're suffering, I need to go down there and suffer with you. All right. So even though I feel guilt that I'm able to find moments of joy when other people are suffering so much.
Even though I feel guilt that I'm able to find some joy when other people are suffering so much.
I love and accept myself.
I love and accept myself.
Even though I feel some guilt that I am able to enjoy myself, even though other people are suffering so much.
Even though I feel guilt that I'm able to find moments of ease and joy when other people are suffering so much.
I accept and forgive myself exactly as I am in this moment.
I accept and forgive myself exactly as I am in this moment.
Even though I feel some guilt that I'm not suffering as much as other people are.
Even though I feel some guilt that I'm not suffering as much as other people are.
And I have the privilege of getting lost in a joyful moment.
And I have the privilege of getting lost in a joyous moment.
I love and accept myself completely.
I love and accept myself completely.
Top of the head. I feel guilty.
I feel guilty.
I feel guilt.
I feel guilt.
So many people are suffering right now.
So many people are suffering right now.
And I feel like if I'm not feeling all that sadness and suffering with them.
And I feel like if I'm not feeling all that sadness and suffering with them
At all times. Then somehow that makes me a bad person.
And somehow that makes me a bad person.
And I feel unworthy of having moments of joy.
And I feel unworthy of having moments of joy.
When there's so much suffering.
When there's so much suffering.
All this guilt.
All this guilt.
I feel guilty.
I feel guilty.
This human experience right now has so much suffering in it.
This human experience right now has so much suffering in it.
And I have moments of joy and ease in my life still.
And I do have moments of joy and ease in my life still.
And that feels just wrong to me somehow.
And that feels sometimes wrong to me somehow.
Because I'm afraid that if I don't feel that suffering for everyone.
Because I'm afraid if I don't feel that suffering for everyone.
Then I'm not able to be compassionate.
That I'm not able to be compassionate.
I have guilt that I should be taking on more suffering for other people.
I have guilt that I should be taking on more suffering for other people.
All this guilt.
All this guilt.
All right, let's pause for a second. Take a deep breath. So what came up for you?
I think along with the guilt about suffering, like I have had guilt of working in a relatively safe place, the hospital, and not like working in the unit in our hospital that's taking care of COVID patients or working in the emergency room. And also it like really, it really put into perspective that I am, even though I feel overwhelmed and panicked, like I am having moments of joy, and like there's just like a sense of gratitude for those moments, because it's not all, I don't think that I could function if it was all panic and worry. So I'm really grateful that I am able to relax, even if it's just for a moment, and be lost in playing with my kids or folding laundry or doing. I feel like so many things are not normal, but there are still a lot of normal things that I have access to.
And how strong is the guilt right now?
Maybe like a 2. I mean, I just think I'm normally like I want to be a suffering person. And so it's hard for me to just not have any kind of weight of the world on my shoulders, but it's like that sense of like you can't just be all doom and gloom all the time. You have to like walk with both, in your life. You can't just be all suffering or all joy. It's okay to have both.
Yeah. All right, well, let's tap in some positivity about the guilt, and then we'll see where we're at with the other stuff. I feel very strong connection to people who are suffering right now.
I feel a very strong connection to people who are suffering right now.
And I want to do what I can to stop the suffering.
And I want to do what I can to stop the suffering.
But I'm open to realizing that maybe me suffering doesn't make other people's suffering go away.
But I'm open to realizing that me suffering doesn't make other people's suffering go away.
That might just be pulling myself down with them.
That might just be pulling myself down with them.
And I have room for lots of compassion and empathy for those people.
And I have room for lots of compassion and empathy for those people.
And I'm going to continue to do what I can in my life to take care of my family and my patients.
And I'm going to continue to do what I can in my life to take care of my family and my patients.
While also knowing that I don't need to suffer along with them.
While also knowing that I don't need to suffer along with them.
That doesn't make me heartless.
It doesn't make me heartless.
It just frees up a lot of energy for me to do the things that I need to do.
It just frees up a lot of energy to do the things that I need to do.
I have 5 kids at home that are living, breathing beings.
I have 5 kids at home that are living, breathing beings.
And I'm the curator of their experience during this time.
And I'm the curator of their experience during this time.
they're going to have memories of this for the rest of their lives.
They're going to have memories for this for the rest of their lives.
So it's okay for me to feel pain and sadness.
So it's okay for me to feel pain and sadness.
But I don't need to roll around in it.
But I don't need to roll around in it.
Because I have children to raise.
Because I have children to raise.
And I have postpartum moms to take care of.
And I have postpartum mamas to take care of.
And it's okay for me to get joy out of those things.
And it's okay for me to get joy out of those things.
Not only is it okay, but it's actually really important that I bring joy into what I do.
Not only is it okay, but it's actually really important that I get to bring joy into what I do.
There are a lot of people suffering right now.
There are a lot of people suffering right now.
But I have a chance to bring joy into other people's lives.
But I have a chance to bring joy into other people's lives.
And that's my privilege.
And that's my privilege.
And bringing positivity into what I do is what's going to be most helpful.
And bringing positivity into what I do is what's going to be most helpful.
While at the same time acknowledging any time I'm feeling fear or guilt or sadness.
While at the same time acknowledging any time that I'm feeling fear or guilt or sadness.
And not trying to shove those away.
And not trying to shove those away.
Because we're all just trying to make it through each day.
Because we're all just trying to make it through each day.
All right. Let's pause. Deep breath. How do you feel?
I feel great. You always know the best words at the end.
How strong is the guilt right now?
I don't feel any guilt. When I think you used the perfect words, like you can be compassionate and you don't have to, that doesn't, like compassion and suffering aren't the same thing. You can be compassionate for people who are suffering without, making yourself suffer.
Yeah. And how about the collective sadness that you were feeling? How strong is that?
I think it's still maybe like a 1 or a 2. I'm not sure that is going to totally go away until we sort of get back to more normal.
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily feel sad. My battery's low.
Oh, okay.
Maybe a 1.
Okay. And how about that panic and the pit in your stomach?
I don't feel panicked. I don't feel afraid at all.
Okay. Awesome. All right. You did great. So that's really complicated. So for people watching after the fact, we kind of you start to peel back the layers, and behind the fear is a sadness, and behind the sadness is guilt. And so then we dismantle the guilt, and then a lot of the other stuff will kind of crumble because they're all interrelated. So we could tap on the fear and the panic all day long, but until we get at the stuff that's underneath it, it's all connected. So Rachel, you did amazing. I'm glad you're feeling better.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. And for anybody else who's watching, remember, pain is important. Pain is an indicator when something's not right, when something needs to change, when action needs to be taken. You want to feel pain if you put your hand on a hot stove so that you pull it away and don't burn yourself. But the suffering part is optional. And suffering is a really, really, really strong addiction. I have it. We all have this addiction to suffering, and it's sort of like drama, I'm somehow not enough if I'm not just feeling horrible for all the injustice. And And the suffering is what we're working on here. The pain is pain. You know, we're feeling pain for people, but it's the carrying that pain on our shoulders, thinking somehow that's going to make it better or be beneficial for anybody. That's where we can work. And I'm the same way. Like, I'm going through all these same things, Rachel, that you're going through. I'm going through them as well. So thank you so much for being brave and vulnerable and honest with us here, because I think a lot of people can relate to what you're going through. So thanks for joining. And I think that'll be it for today. So I'll see everyone tomorrow. And thanks for joining.
Bye.